Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the world-famous Palm Beach Improv. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming out tonight. Oh, you do better than that. It's open mic night. Make some noise. Before we get started, we do have a couple house rules. We ask that you keep your table talk to a minimum and no yelling onto the stage. Please shut off all cell phones, and there's absolutely no photography or videotaping of any kind. Now that we got that out of the way, let's give a big round of applause for all your comedians tonight. And now, coming to the stage, put your hands together for your host and MC, Michael Allen Joseph.
All right, little current events. Angelina Jolie lopping off her breasts, preventing cancer. You know next week that Brad Pitt's going to take his balls off for sympathy and prevention. Wait a minute, he's already had his balls removed after they adopted their 7th Somalian dwarf. For prevention, because they don't want the population of their house to be greater than Rhode Island. I have a ton of free time on my hands. You know why? Because the Jodi Arias trial is over. Anybody addicted to that trial as I was? Could not get away from the television screen. Jodi Arias. You know, she's coming out with a line of ladies' underwear. It's called Skanks. It's a hole in the front, a hole in the back, and a pocket full of lies. Here's the situation with Jodi Arias. This is what I personally feel should be her punishment. Whatever jail she might be going to, I think she should spend the first night in a men's prison. And they should have Morgan Freeman do a documentary on her first night. This is Morgan Freeman. And Jodi Arias is spending her first night in a man's prison. That was the longest night of her life. Oh, Jodi. Oh, Jodi. There's not too many white Jewish people that can imitate Morgan Freeman, just so you know. Jodi Arias. What's next for her? Could be a movie, could be a book, who knows? What I also didn't like about Jodi Arias is whenever they showed pictures of her naked body, she was wearing black electric tape over her nipples. Is that so Mormons won't recognize her? What a way to disguise yourself. Have you looked at the photos? You know, like, is she Ms. 3M Tape Company's Model of the Year? I don't think so. Have you ever been to a mammogram? You've been to a baseball game, right? Been to a football game? Have you ever gone to a mammogram? Nobody? It's fun, you should check it out. One day I had a day off. My wife had nothing to do, I had nothing to do, and she said, you know what? Might as well book an appointment to have my yearly mammogram done, or what I call the tit panini. The mammogram consists of taking your wife's 2 prized possessions and sandwiching them between 2 plate glass windows. And as they press the glass windows together on the poor breasts, the nipple looks like the eye of a fish. Kind of like the end of the movie The Fly with Vincent Price. Help me! Help me! Now, at the end of the mammogram, my wife was in tears. And I said, don't worry, honey. If you don't like the breasts that God gave you, you can just mail them back in a number 10 envelope. It's good to be back at City Place. I'm one of those unusual straight men that loves to shop. I like stores, what can I say? But never do this. Never go into a Target store wearing a red polo shirt. Last week, I went into Target, I had a red polo shirt on, and this 300-pound woman came up to me and she said, excuse me, can I ask you a question? And I said, as long as there's no axe involved, you are welcome to ask me that question. What, are you going to go Viking on me? Can you tell me where the tampons are at? And I said, I know where tampons are at all the time. 24/7, I can locate where those tampons are at. And she said, well, can you tell me what aisle they're on? And I looked around and I said, well, there's 3 walking into ladies' sweaters, there's 2 in cosmetics, and there's 1 with a crew cut and short nails and hardware. And if you're a guy and you have to wear a suit and tie to work every day, after work, never stop into a Best Buy without your jacket on. Because if you take your jacket off and you're just in a shirt and tie at Best Buy, you're going to be mistaken for the Geek Squad. Now, this is a true story. I was there about a month ago, and there was this really nasty, old, bitchy customer that was giving the sales girls there a super hard time. And she came up to me, because she wasn't getting enough help from them, and she eyed me and said, "Excuse me, sir. Can you tell me where to plug the end of this USB cable into?" And I said, "Sure, no problem. You take that USB cable when you get home, you put it in the top of your toaster, and you move your toaster over to the sink, and then turn the water on." No worries, no worries. I do not so great if it's not a clothing store, like the supermarket. I'm a little lost in the supermarket. Especially like some other gentlemen here that may have the job of finding the feminine hygiene products for the household. I got a neighbor named Jim that's got 3 daughters and a wife. They're gonna name a landfill after this guy. When I go down that aisle of the feminine products, it's confusing because you got your always with wings. You got your always with wings with leak protection. Sounds like the AutoZone, right? Like there should be turtle wax at this point. So I always need a little help. And I usually find some women that are lolling around that aisle and they say, "Can you just help me pick out what the heck I'm supposed to get here?" So this nice lady said to me, "Okay, well here's what you do. Here's your infinity always." I said, "Infinity? Does that last forever?" She said, No, they're very light, they're thin for the days in between. So what is that, Wednesday? What's a day in between? Thursday 0.5? Oh, days in between, yes, non-election years, I get it. Okay, very good. I met my wife on my 36th blind date. 1 through 36 are nowhere to be found, but that's another story. But on the 36th blind date, 23 years ago, I met my lovely wife. Now, during one of those 36 blind dates, the one that sticks out the most is when I was in the restaurant waiting for my date to meet me, and she shows up wearing ugly sweatpants and a big bulky hooded sweatshirt, and she sits down and she says, "I'm really sorry, but I'm wearing my fat clothes." I said, "You're what?" "Yes, it's just that I lost 50 pounds, and I got rid of all my clothes, and then I gained it all back, so I have to wear these fat clothes." Listen, if a woman has 2 sets of clothes, she better be Batgirl. Two sets of clothes, please. You should be Wonder Woman. There should be an invisible Prius parked outside. You know, the fashion icons that I used to remember wearing maybe 20, 30 years ago have been ruined by the gay community. And I have no problem with gay people. Be free. For instance, that basketball player, what was his name? Collins, who just came out, just outed himself first, big NBA. I don't think that's a big deal that someone came out to reveal their sexual preferences. I mean, if I had a press conference, I would come out and I would say to Anderson Cooper, "I have an announcement to make. I love foreign women." Wolf Blitzer, Anderson Cooper, yes, Mitchell Josephs loves foreign women. And it's true, you show me an H-1 visa, I'll show you a boner. Okay, that's nothing to make CNN over though, okay? So anyway, what I used to like to wear are these white tank tops that are called the wife beater t-shirt. You know those white ribbed tank tops? If I put a white wife beater t-shirt on now, my wife looks at me and she says, "That is so gay." If I put a tight t-shirt on where, okay, my nipples are kind of puncturing through the cotton, my wife says, "That is so gay." I mean, come on. If she comes home and I'm having sex with the landscaper Martin, she says, "That is so gay." Come on. Guys ruined it for us. By the way, in the Jewish household, the wife beater t-shirt is known as the wife worshiper t-shirt. You know why Jewish men don't beat on their wives? Because we'd lose. Lose! commercial, I think, misrepresents married couples in general. I don't like that Jared jewelry commercial. It's a bunch of women opening up wedding gifts, and the woman opens up a box, and her girlfriend leans over her shoulder and she goes, "Ooh, he went to Jared." Let me tell you something. That whole Jared thing doesn't go over in the Jewish household. The real version of that commercial is the girl opens up the box and a girlfriend goes, "Oh, he went to Jared. Where's Cheryl? She went to the divorce attorney." I was having dinner a few weeks ago in Boca, which they might as well just put the Israeli flag and just say, okay, Israel West, okay? So I can make fun of my own people, all right? That's the West Bank. The West Bank is Wells Fargo, Boca, okay? So my favorite steakhouse is a place called Abe and Louie's. And this poor waitress goes over to a table of 7 Jewish women and says, "Is anything all right?" Now, there's a type of Jewish woman that is safe to marry, and that's why I've been married first time, last time, for over 2 decades. And that is an interesting species that can only be found on National Geographic channels, NG1 and sometimes NG2. And that is the Latino Jew, or Latino Jewess. I can't believe there's more than one. I thought I'm married to the only one. I'm getting applause for that. Latino Jews is kind of like I'm married to Ricky Ricardo, but in heels. So every 3rd word is mispronounced. And my son and I get yelled at in 2 languages. Omiro kumara kumara kumiro miro putz. Omiro kumara kumara kumiro schmuck. The problem is that when we moved to South Florida from New York 20 years ago, my wife had a problem pronouncing the chain of supermarkets down here. When she came back from the supermarket our first week in Florida, I looked at the back of the car and it was completely smashed. And I said, "What the fuck happened?" She said, "I got rear-ended in the Publix." I said, "What?" "Jess, I got rear-ended in the Publix." I said, "No more mini skirts at the supermarket anymore, that's it." Another interesting tidbit of when we first moved to Florida. Things to get used to about the South, coming from New York. Now, I know like people that are from the South hate hearing New Yorkers say things like, "We don't have this in New York," but I'm sorry, we don't have truck nuts in the Northeast. Now, when I see this on the back of a pickup truck, it's one thing about the guy driving the pickup. Okay, he's got a mullet, ha ha ha. But the woman in the passenger seat, could you imagine when she first brought this guy home to her parents? "Ma, Pa, Skeeter and I are getting hitched. I love him, and I want to have little flesh plastic children with him." And there's several versions. If you go to an auto parts store, it doesn't come in just flesh. This is the teenage boy version. All teenage boys have these on the back of their pickups. Oh yes, thank you. Audience participation is welcome. Now this is what I call the presidential version of truck nuts. Now that's what I call a 2-termer. And then, last but not least, you know what this one is? Ooh, close. The Jewish version, because our wives have our balls by the hand. So we got a great night of comedy coming up with over 1 million comics tonight. And some of the best comics on television and the movie have started right on this stage. Bumped into Tracy Morgan the other night here right outside. Coming up in a couple of weeks is Titus. In another week is John Panette. Don't forget to fill out those little cards on your table because we're going to give away 2 tickets to free shows. And don't forget your servers. And if it's still on the menu, that improv chicken, that's delish. Let's welcome our next comic, Mr. Laguerre. This next comedian has an extra chromosome and has 3 testicles. And he's from Lake Worth, and his name is Hemp. Please welcome Hemp!